Hey mages, welcome to today's video. Today I am doing a budget video today. Wilds of Eldraine is released on MTG Arena and I've got 3 0 rare decks for you to play. No rare mythics, no rare golds at all, just full of commons and uncommons with some really fun, exciting cards from Wilds of Eldraine. Now, these decks obviously will have a lot of synergy. This is what we want when we're playing with just commons and uncommons. You want to have, powerful cards that are in that status of common and uncommon, and luckily this new set has quite a few of them. So I know there's a lot of free-to-play players and everyone loves the budget videos, so I've got these decks ready for you to play now and you can experience the new set and have some fun with them without a doubt. So before we get to look at the 3 decks, let me just say thank you to everyone that supports the videos. Liking, commenting really does help, sharing them out as well. And obviously if you want to go a bit further, you can become a Patreon, check out the link below. And if you're going to take any of these decks to your FNM or you want to build them, or any decks that I have or any decks you want to play, check out Cardmarket. There is a link below as well. They're the channel sponsors. But without further ado, let's get on to the decks. So the first deck I've got for you is a mono black Enchantment Drain deck. Now, when this was spoiled, Wicked Visitor, it really excited me. For a common card, it had a theme to it, and it was a card that needed to be built around. So whenever enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Now, there's lots of really good cards that go with that, sagas, everything like that, but Hopeless Nightmare was spoiled as well. When this enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, loses 2 life. Common card has a lot going for it. Scry 2 when it's put in the battlefield, and we can sack it as well. So synergistically with the Wicked Visitor goes very well with that. Now, like I said, sagas also go well with that. We've got Akiba, that is the drain and gain part of this deck as well. We get to do that twice, and then it becomes a menace vehicle when it gets exiled. So it will leave the battlefield and then trigger Wicked Visitor as well. Life of Toshiro, another really good saga that will go in there. Maybe pump up a creature if we can. If we're getting an attack in, we've got a couple of early creatures in there. We can potentially kill an early creature as well with a -1/1, or gain a bit of life as well. And then this will transform into another 2/3 creature as well. Braid's Frightful Return. We got just 3 of these in here. Really good. We can read ahead in this one, so we can return target creature card from the graveyard to your hand. So this is in there for the recursion, because obviously when you're building budget decks, you can't always have the power cards. You build cards around certain, build decks around certain cards. So we want to return a card like Wicked Visitor, or, even potentially a Virus Beetles to get to opponent to discard again to deplete that hand. But one of the other main cards that this is in there to bring back is High Fae Negotiator. Now, this can be bargained. So bargain is one of the new mechanics. Sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell. And then if we do, each opponent loses 3 life and we gain 3 life as well. And this is a 3/5 flyer. So acts as, nice bit of evasion, can attack and get the job done, hopefully at the end of the game, to get in there with the final bit of damage that we do need. Now, we do have artifact that we can sack and then recur, which is really good for the bargain with the High Fae, which is Clay Revenant. This enters battlefield tap, just a 1/2, only costs 1 mana as well, but we can pay 3 and return it from graveyard to hand. So it can be sack fodder for the High Fae Negotiator as well, which is really good to have that ability there, because some of these, like the enchantments and everything like that, will just go, and we're not really making many tokens at all, but we do have ways. Virus Beetle is an artifact as well, so we can bargain that away as well. So we do have options and then ways to recur in this deck as well. Another artifact that we're bringing in from the new set is Ariet's Tempting Apple. So when this ends the battle, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Just another little wink on there. If we can take something massive, so maybe even we take the Shieldred, maybe we take something else. But for 4 mana, we can get this in there. And we can use the abilities of the pay 2, gain 3 life, target opponent loses 3 life as well, which is the one that we really probably want to be using unless we're that low on life. Ares Tempting Apple could be a really good card, or even sacked if we need to be draining and gaining with the High Fae Negotiator, and that can be a win as well. So this deck has a lot going on. We've also got new card, the Witch's Vanity. It helps us a bit of removal, and then we'll make a Wicked token as well. So with this token is more sack fodder as well. So we have full 4 of these in there because we want to be hitting the bargain if we can. with the high phase. That is a way that we always want to do. We don't really want to be missing with that. So we have still a lot of ways to get the bargain on that. And Witch's Vanity, turn 2, potentially will kill a creature, create a foe token, which is another token which can be sacked as well. And then it creates the Wicked token. So we have enough to bargain, I think, for high Fae in this deck. A little bit of removal, a couple of go for the throats as well, and then we go to the land base. Very simple, 20 swamps and a couple of roadside reliquaries, because that's another way to draw cards. We do have the artifacts, and obviously we have the enchantments as well, so that gives us the opportunity to draw a couple of cards. Now, if we go to the stats, we've got 15 creatures, 23 non-creatures in this deck, a very low CMC, which is only 2.2, which is why we're going for the 22 lands. Lots of enchantments and plenty of artifacts and tokens and stuff like that. And yeah, this deck, I've played it. I've taken down some big scouts with it as well. Now, like I will say, with all the budget decks, you're not going to rise, all the way to Mythic or anything like that with these decks. If you can get, I've had people get very high with the budget 0 rare decks. These are built on synergistic. You're going to get a couple of losses here and there, but you will get some really good wins as well. So, just know that straight off from the back, because I always get some comments saying, I was in Diamond 1 and I've lost like 7 on the trot. Well, sometimes that's going to happen. But yeah, Mono Black Drain, very cool done deck. But let's get on to the next one. So now I've got a food deck for you. Tough Cookie. Love this when it was spoiled. Tough Cookie. Look at the art on it. Very thematic for Wilds of Eldraine. When it ends a battle, we create a food token. We can turn food token, non-creature artifacts into 4/4 creatures. With this, we can pay 2, and we can sack the cookie to gain life as well. But making food tokens and turn them into 4/4s seems really, really fun to me. And Tough Cookie is a very cool card. We've got lots of different new cards in the set. This one is very heavy on the new cards, because obviously food has come in there. Ginger Brute has been just has to be in there. It's a hasty creature. We can sack it and gain life, but it's a gingerbread, and it has to go in this foodie deck, doesn't it? It just has to go in there. We also have in there, we have Welcome Sweet Tooth. So we create a 1/1 human token. We create a food token, and this can act as sometimes as a win con to get that massive attack in there. Put X 1/1 counters on target creature control, where X is 1 plus the number of foods. So we're going to be making lots of foods in this deck. Sweet Tooth Witch. Ends a battlefield, create a food token. This can act as getting final damage, or maybe just if you've got mana at the end, sacking foods. Target player will lose 2 life. Good way to win with the deck as well. We have Greta, Sweet Tooth Scourge. Ends the battlefield, create a food token. Sack food tokens, 1/1 counter on target creature, only as a sorcery. Sack a food, draw a card, and lose a life as well for 1 and a black. So a lot going on with this uncommon, and really good in our food deck. We have Knight of Sweet Revenge. I was trying to take a word out there. Ends a battle, creates a food token. Foods you control add 1 green mana, which is really cool. Now, although it only has the green, we got a fair bit of black. We've got a lot of colourless in here as well. We can also sack it for 7. Switch when creature can get X plus X until the end of turn for X number of foods you control. Now, what's better than that is giving them trample. So Provisions Merchant ends a battle, create a food token. A lot of that going on in this deck, isn't there? When the merchant attacks, sack a food. If you do, attacking creatures get +1/1 and gain trample. And that's where the evasion is for this deck. Is making all of those tokens and then coming in with the trample at the end. If we can get both of these on the field, after practicing, I've practiced, then come to the deck. I like keeping it as it is, but possibly might want to get another one of these in there, possibly, and then maybe make Knight's Revenge to 2 and 3. I'll leave that up to you with a bit more testing. But after a lot of testing, I might want to put that fine, just swap the numbers round on these. Eretz is in there again. Really good card. I like this one, which is why it's featured in both the decks, because we can take control of any of the meta's massive creatures, potentially give it haste, and just swing as well, which is really, really good. I think this would be good in some type of deck where you can sack the opponent's card as well, which is an idea of a deck. So maybe if anyone's got any ideas on that type of deck, put it in the comments below. But yeah, that's a deck that I think I'm going to be working on as well. What else do we have in the deck? We have Candy Trail. Nice. Ends battle, scry 2. Help to find the cards that we need. Also, we can pay 2, sack it, gain 3 life, and draw a card. There's a lot of life gain in here. Now, if you have to use the food tokens, obviously, it benefits a lot of these cards for keeping them on the field. but they're always there in case we need to gain a bit of life, which is always, you know, very handy as well. But when you got your Welcoming 2, if you want this coming down, hopefully with the trample, triggering that at the same time, and then you've got a massive trampler. We've got Witch's Vanity in this deck as well. Makes food tokens, creates, you know, something like an aura that can drain as well, and it's a bit of destroy, which is nice. And then the last card, last 2 cards we're going to talk about in the deck is Return from the Wilds. We get to choose 2 here, so we can go and find that basic land, so get a swamp or our forest, whatever we need, and then create a token, or we can create, obviously, a food token, which is what we want to do as well. Now, Not Dead After All is in here. When the creature dies, we get to reanimate it with a Wicked token. A bit more drain, getting the +1/1 in here. It's good to reanimate some of these cards because they have Enter the Battlefield effect. So Greta coming in can remake a food token. Same with Sweet Tooth as well. Tough Cookie, ends the battlefield, create a food token. So anything that's coming in, you know, bringing in a provisions merchant as well, saving that if we can. This Not Dead After All can save it, bring them back, trigger for the food token, and then obviously they won't die as well, which is very handy. Land base, Reliquaries in here because we run enchantments, and we've got obviously artifacts as well. 4 jungle hollow, and then we've got the mixture of basics in this one as well. 17 creatures, 21 non-creature spells, and then a CMC of 2.3 for this really fun food deck. So the last deck today is an aggro deck, and we're going Gruul aggro. Ruby Daring Tracker was the card that I found interesting from Wilds. Has haste, which is good. When the tracker attacks while you control a creature with power 4, Ruby gets +2/2, but it can also go down and instantly tap for mana as well, because it has haste, this card, so we can use it to tap for the red or the green as well. So we've got a full 3 in there of this. Other cards are in the deck, new cards in the deck. We've got Royal Treatment. Target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn. We create a royal token. It gives it +1/1 and has ward 1. So gives it a little creature a buff, and it gives it a bit of protection as well. So, you know, using against the spot removal, this card I feel like is going to take a place in maybe some space of other cards. Instant speed, does more, gives it a hexproof, stops it from being potentially killed, and then gives something a +1/1 as well, and ward 1, which is, you know, for 1 mana, that is really cool. Ginger Brew, obviously, in an aggro deck, is going to come in here. And as you can see from a lot of these decks, I've crossed over cards, even though they're different colours. And then hopefully you might be able to build all 3 potentially and use some of the same cards, which is what it's about. Budget players trying to save a bit of dosh and then having some, you know, having some fun with multiple decks. Gnawing Crescendo from Wilds as well. Creatures you control get +2/+0, so a bit of a combat trick. Whenever one of the non-token creatures die, we get a 1/1 rat that can't block, but still puts another creature on the battlefield, so you can go ham, go haul in with your attacks, knowing that if you've got this in your hand and any die, you're going to create something in its place as well. So that works out pretty sweet. Monstrous Rage was one of my best uncommons from the set, +2/+0, and then you get to create a monster roll token, so +1/1 and trample with this monster token is sweet. Evasion, trample, get over the top. Aggro decks need that finishing bit, and Monstrous Rage for this can be put on any of the creatures and then get that +1 trample on it, and yeah, just pretty sweet combat trick, I think, which is what this deck is all about, is timing your combat tricks and then getting the value from it as well. More creatures, Yavimaya. In the colours, we can give it a haste, come down 4/3, brilliant. If not, just a 3/2. Has trample, very important as well. Furnace Punisher will be punishing all those multicoloured decks, just doing that extra bit of damage if they don't run the basics, the 5-colour ramps, anything like that. Punisher can do some work for us, and it's a 3/3 with Menace as well, so really good value card, that one. Then we have Arbalest Engineers. Ends the battle, we get to choose 1/1 damage to a target, which means we can maybe ping a Planeswalker or a blocker, a token, anything like that. Put a 1/1 counter, it gains trample and haste to end the turn. Like I spoke about, more evasion and getting over the top of some tokens and creatures. Or we create a tapped power stone, which is not really the one out the 3 that we're going to choose, to be honest. And then the last creature, Rampaging Diaderm, trample, haste, 3/3, 4 mana, nice value card. When you attack, target attacking creature gets +1/1 to end the turn. If it's attacking a battle, which we do not have, puts a counter on, but we haven't got any battles in there. We want this just for its dinosaur beast aggro self to get in there and stomp, stomp, stomp. That's what we want it to do. Last card in there, Kumalu. I looked at the Yavimaya there. Kumar, it's very hot today. If you know, in the UK, we're having a bit of a heat wave. Currently in my office, it's 87 degrees as I'm recording this. But Kumalu faces Kakazan. Aggro, 1 damage. Next creature can come in with a counter, which will be good. And then we exile it. It becomes a 2/2 hasty as well. So hasty creatures work well with this deck. Land base, super basic, of course. Mountains, forests, rugged highlands in there as a 4-of, just to help us with, you know, we've got double colours here, we've got double colours here, and double colours here. So even though it come down tapped, we might not be able to get our turn 1 Ginger Brute down, or, you know, potentially the turn 2 Ruby is still needed for the deck, just to, you know, make it that little bit more consistent. Let's have a look at the stats. 2.1 average, 21 creatures, because obviously we're more aggro, low to the ground deck this one, and 16 non-creature spells for this aggro 0 rare Gruul deck. Very aggressive. So there's 3 decks there for you today, each play differently. Some crossover cards that potentially you might be able to build more than one. You might be able to build 2 of them potentially. Obviously get towards 3 to give you 3 different decks, even if they're just to do your dailies, or if you're a new player, these are good beginner decks for you to play and just have some fun on MTG Arena and with Wilds of Eldraine. So thanks a lot for this. I probably, you know, might look at doing an upgrade videos for these, but these, you know, specifically have the synergistic, and then maybe there'd be some good upgrades from them, or you could take some rares from them. Just let me know if you want to do that. And as always, I always get requested for gameplay. I will be trying to doing some gameplay of some new decks, which is playing some budget decks, doing some gameplay, upgrade decks of the same deck, and then doing gameplay in the same video. I mentioned that in my last video, so let me know if that's something that you'd like to see as well. But you lot take care, and I'll see you on the next video.